Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson.
What's up, guys? John, the firearms instructor. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live here at the range. Hope y'all are doing well. We're doing okay. I can't believe that it is the 19th already of August. Where are days going? We're getting closer and closer to hunting season. I was able to get out last weekend down in Zone A of Florida and do some bow hunting. I actually did some bow sitting because we didn't get anything. Let me pop that music down a little bit. Turn that down. There we go. Pop that music down. We were able to get out a little bit and sit in a tree stand for the first time since last year. It was pretty good. Overheated a little bit. It's hot in Florida. It was about 105 on Saturday. Felt like it was 1,000. You figure deer wearing a fur coat, they're not going to be out very much. So, got some great news. We've got the masterclass back out. You guys have been asking for it, so we are wanting to put it back out. Our next masterclass is set up for September the 1st at 7 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. This is a course webinar style training that's going to let you master your handgun and work with me for 4 weeks working on your fundamentals. First week is about foundation. Second week is about accuracy. Third week is about speed and control. And fourth week is about defensive stuff. By the end of the fourth week, you will understand what's causing most of your mental problems. Mental, I say. Most of your firearms training problems and be able to solve them very quickly. Now, here's what we're going to do. Last time we did this, we got too many people signed up for it very quickly. So what we're doing is we're limiting it to 10 people. Now, these 10 people can be local or they can be out throughout the United States. All you really need to be able to do is go to the range at least once a week, have a firearm, have some kind of training problems you're having an issue with, and the master class will solve that for you. One of the greatest things I've done with this is I've laid out this program. We've done this since February. We took it all the way. We took the month of July off, so we didn't do the master class, and then we started selling the masterclass in August. So now it's coming up in September and we only have 10 spots available. What's it cost? You're going to get 4 weeks of working with me. We are going to give you a PowerPoint presentation. We're going to give you the law. We're going to give you PDF forms. We're going to give you targets. We're going to give you homework. It's in a course system that you can physically understand yourself. You're going to turn your homework into me, and each week I'm going to evaluate them and give you a concept of what you're doing wrong. I'm so positive that this class will solve your issues at the range. I'm willing to offer you a money-back guarantee. If this does not improve your accuracy in 4 short weeks, then I'll give you your money back. That's how positive I am. I've already solved probably 50 to 70 students, probably not only what I've been doing for years here, but kind of pointing out the issues. That's the one thing about the masterclass does for students. It gives you that aha moment of the thing that you're doing wrong that you never really realized you were doing. And not only does the course give you the PowerPoint presentation, it gives you video of each of the things I talked about, like a proper grip. It's going to show you a proper grip of the video. It's going to show you trigger control. It's going to give you if you're interested in the master class, there'll be a link down in the description below. Channel and I would love to sold out very quickly so we can go ahead and start another one. What do you need? Handgun, willingness to learn, get to the range once a week, turn your homework in, and be on the calls at 7 p.m. on Monday nights. That's all you need. You don't need to be a rock star. You could be a new shooter. You could be someone who's bringing back and hasn't shot in a long time. This is going to be great. And what this does for us is you YouTubers out there that almost we're at 40 almost 40,000. We're over 40,000 subscribers. It allows me to work with these 40,000 subscribers, giving them something that they can really generate, like my ebooks and everything else like that we have given thousands and thousands of ebooks away for free. Matter of fact, guys, if you want an ebook and you haven't got one yet, visit our website or visit the link down below. Click the website itself, pick one of those books, put it in a cart. It's yours for free. No strings attached. Now, those books are on sale for $2.99. If you want to add more to the cart and support a family-owned business like mine, I would appreciate it very much, and it would not hurt my feelings. So that's the commercial of the day. Let me remove that, of course. Oh, boom, there we go. All right. So last week was my birthday, August the 14th, turned 58, down 35 pounds, and I turned 58 last Wednesday. My family had a beautiful spaghetti dinner for me, which they know I was doing no carbs, but it was kind of good. I ended up getting some carby stuff there, and I got some garlic bread. And then they made me, I've been really taking to sugar. I'm not doing that much sugar. I'm not eating much. I'm taking off the carbs. I'm not drinking any sodas. I'm dumping the sugar. I'm trying to be a good boy. And they got me a yellow cake with chocolate icing, which is my favorite. And I kind of was, I was a bad boy and ate a few of that. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate you being here. You know the deal, guys, if you're on here and you have not commented and you are new or you are one of our originals or you are first time here, I'd like to hear from each and every one of you that are watching and let me know where you're watching from. So tonight we're going to talk about the 10 worst mistakes I've seen on the range and how to fix them. These aren't really what I would consider the bad kick you out because you're stupid, you done something dumb and shot my wall or whatever. I mean, this happens, but it's more of the stuff that people. Mark J, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you making a comment. Thank you. From YouTube, Mark J, thank you. I'm going to say safety violation. I guess my one thing I would say is when you're in the range, whether it be indoor or outdoor, you need to be careful of the vertical of the gun. In other words, if I'm turning the gun any way sideways, I'm pushing the barrel towards one of my barriers. I want you to think about the range as you own and rent the space between your bay from the barrel to the wall and the bay itself both ways, and make sure your barrel stays down range at all times. We see a lot of people who turn firearms to take magazines out, and that becomes somewhat, we want to be very careful that we're not putting, last week and a half ago, I was in the range on a Saturday with a student, and I caught, hey, Chris, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Yeah, I know where you're from, bud. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you being here. I caught somebody laser on the wall twice. And you know me, I'm like, ooh. And then the third time it happened, I went over and tapped him. I said, listen, I didn't make a big deal about it. I pulled him aside and said, listen, the laser has been on this wall 3 times. That means that gun was pointed downrange. It was pointed towards other people. I'm sure you didn't swipe the whole store. It was out there at an angle that should not be there. Remember, the weapon must be pointed downrange at all times. So tonight we're going to work through these 10 mistakes I see shooter make. It's not just the new shooters. Matter of fact, that guy with the laser, I have been working with him probably 8 years or better. And he didn't even realize he was doing it. And it kind of woke him up a little bit because, the wrong place at the wrong time, it becomes an issue for us. So even an experienced shooter like that's been shooting for years, they do make mistakes, guys. So good news is that every one of these things I mentioned today are fixable as long as you use your brain. And I will tell you, one of the tricks I will give you, that I give every new student, is to make a pistol, to pick up a pistol, and make a pistol to put the pistol down. This will guarantee that your finger is not on the trigger when you go pick it up, and it surely ain't on the finger, and the finger's not on the trigger when you put it down. If I was able to take pictures of my plexiglass, brand new plexiglass, within a week, I had someone shoot a hole in it. So these are people making clerical errors with fingers on triggers. Luckily for us, nobody got hurt in these situations. So the very first thing I would give you, which I see more than anything else, and I try to solve as much as possible, is bad grip. The problem with bad grips is if you really think about how to control a weapon without your grip, whether it be a loose grip or thumb over thumb or teacupping or anything you're doing, if you have weak thumbs, teacupping, inconsistent pressure, not enough pressure, muzzle flipping, recoil management, everything comes with or calculates into a bad grip. And bad grips cause us more inaccuracy than anything else we can, because the grip really is the foundation as much as our feet are. When I talk foundation, I talk from the foot to the handgun and from the handgun back to the other foot. So it's a full system I'm trying to put together for you. But we must fix this by being high and tight. Support hand wrapping around the gun as much as possible. And two thumbs forward, getting your thumb out a little bit further and getting a good solid grip. We talk about that 60-40 grip. I tell you to control the weapon the best you can to make sure the gun doesn't flip when you shoot it. And then, gentlemen, if you'll drive with your pec muscles, and women, if you drive with your back, those will allow that gun to stay level. And the magical thing about a level pistol, somebody say it, a level pistol shoots level. Very good. Very good. I knew you guys had it. Number 2 is poor stance. I see all kinds of crazy stances. I see the guy that's going to, like he's pushing a drill into a wall. He's got 1 foot back, 1 foot forward, trying to torque the pistol into control. I see the weaver, the modified weaver, the lean back, lean forward. I've seen a lot of sway back where they've got their feet underneath them, but they're leaning back with the gun. That has a lot to do with people seeing. They use their bifocals, and then they got to put them down in their nose, and they got to use the back side of their. Is this you? Is one of you guys this? You got to use the back side of your firearm to see your sights. Here's a tip for that. Guys, go over to the dollar store and pick up 3, 4, or 5 different edges of glasses over there at the dollar store, the readers, and then find which one's going to help you see that front post. And then, well, obviously, you take the gun in there, but there's $1.25 a piece or whatever. And then pick you a pair that's going to help you see your front post the best and put those in your range bag. Matter of fact, buy 5 of them because you know you're going to forget at least 3 of them somewhere along the line. So go ahead and get a couple of them that'll work for you. I can tell you, as you can see, my glasses are gone because during hunt season, during Saturday, somewhere along the line, I lost my glasses. I don't know what I did with them. I was sweating and hot and nasty and walking through water, and boom, they're gone. $125 down. Those glasses were kind of those lenses were kind of crappy, anyways. So we were going to get new glasses, but I didn't want to have to get them right away. But they're not bifocals. I'm 58, but I can still see a little bit. I just need it for driving. So poor stance, leaning back, locking knees, uneven balance. You imagine building a house with not getting the foundations completely flat first. It's just not the way you're going to do it. What we're looking for mostly, if I could give you an idea, is an athletic stance. Shoulder width apart with the feet, knees bent forward just a little bit, and you want to slightly cant forward just a little bit. Get your boot. I tell the women all the time, get your booty out. God gave it to you. Stick it out. When you lean forward like that, what's going to happen is you're going to transfer your weight from your heels to your toes. And once you transfer your weight from your heels to your toes, then you're going to feel a little bit more control when the recoil comes, that you were able to control it. One of the tips I give students once in a while is lift your heels just enough to get them off the ground, but not too far that you're going to lean forward. And that would give you a good balance situation. Number 3 is jerking the trigger. I joke and kid all the time about internally we have a monster, and that monster doesn't like firearms. It doesn't like the recoil. It doesn't like the bang, and it's telling you to hurry the hell up. Let's get the hell out of here. You need to shut that little guy up and take your time shooting a pistol. Because the more you take your time running the trigger, especially at the range, the more control we're going to have. Trigger manipulation is a real thing. You do jerk the shit out of that trigger by pulling it. If you press a trigger versus pull a trigger, it makes a big difference where the bullet impacts. When you pull the trigger, you pull the bullet. When you press the trigger, you press the trigger in the back of your hand, and you most likely are not going to manipulate the trigger that much. Trigger travel is a real thing. We got to know how much we need to take out of that trigger before it gets back to us, before it gets into that realm where it's going to go bang. But the real deal is, if I jerk a trigger, I am going to jerk the bullet. So what do we need to do to fix that? We need to slow down, steady press straight to the rear. Dry firing will help you very tremendously. And if you don't do enough dry firing, there are videos on my YouTube channel that will give you plenty of tips to teach you to dry fire. Safety, safety, safety. If you're dry firing in your home, you got to make sure your weapon and you are in a separate room than your range bag, your ammo, and your magazines. You don't need a magazine in the gun to dry fire, so it should not be there. You need to double, triple, and quadruple check that. Make sure that gun is completely empty before you do any dry firing at all, because the assumption of most people is when they have an accidental discharge, which there's no such thing. That's an ignorant discharge is what we should call it. When they do that, it's the assumption that the gun is unloaded because they have not verified it yet. Unless you own a 320 and you're on your own at that. SIG 320s have had some issues with just firing. Just firing. So, all right. Number 3 is jerking the trigger. Number 4 is anticipating the recoil. Now, this is a very common thing that people do. And if you don't think you are doing it, have one of your buddies, your friend, your family, your wife, whoever that you shoot with, load your magazines and don't tell you which one's in there, and use a dummy round or two and have it put 5 rounds in with a dummy round, and we'll see what kind of anticipation you have. When you shoot 3 rounds and that 4th round comes up and it's a dummy round and you press the trigger, is the gun going to dip? And I would tell you that probably 85 to 90% of students do some anticipation. It's just natural. You're trying to soak up the recoil with everything you can, and you naturally want to push on the firearm to keep it from doing it. Anticipating recoil causes a lot of dipping of the muzzle. And there we go again. Level pistol shoots level. If the gun's at an angle, it's only going to shoot at an angle. So dipping the muzzle or flinching before the shot breaks is going to cause a lot of inaccuracy, which causes a lot of low and lefts and things like that, because it's anticipation and trigger jerking that causes majority of right-handed students to shoot low and left because of just the way it is. That's just common what happens. A lot of ways to fix this. I just gave you the ball and dummy drill. That is where you have 4 live and 1 dead. And you just put that, have people load it up for you. That helps out tremendously. You can dry fire very much so. You can work on a good cadence. This helps tremendously. There is trigger travel. Trigger travel is pretty easy to explain. It is the much pressure we need to put on the weapon until it gets back to a wall or until the weapon cuts. And our job is to learn that trigger press as best we can, because in the midst of trigger pressing like that, we need to get it back to a certain point to understand, okay, well, this is going to go bang any second now. And then the more we get that back, then we can take some of that slack out before we have to worry about it going bang. It's like a good fishing, right? If you're a fisherman, you got the bobber, you got the bait, you got out the boat, and you've got 25 feet of slack at your feet. Now the fish bobbles a little bit. He bobbles, the bobber goes under, and you set the hook. Are you catching that fish? No, because you got all that slack out in your feet. So you have 2 options. Reel that slack in, take the pressure off the trigger till it gets to a point, and then set the hook, or let the fish swim off until the line gets tight and then set the hook. Either way, you're going to have a good line set at that point in time. That's what we have to do when we're engaging a trigger on a pistol. We have to get back the trigger to a point where it's going to cut. And then at that point, it makes it a lot easier for us. One of the tips I tell students once in a while is if you're rushing the shot, what I want you to do is work on a reverse cadence. You can do the word press. It's like spelled Press. And at the very last S is when the gun needs to cut. Now, P, you got your finger on the trigger. R, you're bringing it back. E, S, and it cuts. Now, that helps out tremendously. Or you can do a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're applying pressure as you go. This 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 helps tremendously get the slack out of the trigger. It starts swinging. Hey, Terry, thank you very much. Appreciate the birthday wishes. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Looks like from YouTube. Thank you. Appreciate you, Terry. All right. So working on a good trigger press is going to be so much better for you, and it's going to make you more accurate at the range. We talked about the masterclass earlier about it. We do a whole week of nothing but trigger press, because that week of trigger press is going to make you a better shooter. Why you suck at the range is 3 things. 1, you don't have the system down. 2, you jerk the shit out of the gun. And 3, you're not controlling it. And with the masterclass, all 3 of those are solved in the first 2 weeks, which in turn makes your accuracy more. Once you start getting a tight group and tight understanding, it just becomes natural, because people count too much on gimmicks. Red dots. All right, I got a red dot on the gun, I'm going to be accurate. You won't be accurate if you pull the trigger. If you pull the trigger, that red dot's going to make that bullet go anywhere it needs to go. You can't adjust the red dot for a jerk of a trigger, because it's going to go exactly where you push it. So red dots, lasers, all that stuff are gimmicks. You need to run the gun and understand how to run the gun with this and these. That's how you do it. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever did that up top. Appreciate that very much. I'm not saying red dots are bad. I'm not saying they're good. I'm not a red dot guy. I don't like students coming here with red dots, because I want to teach them how to use the gun. I think a red dot is a crutch. I've seen them break. I've seen them fall off. I've seen them, the glass fog up. I've seen them battery go dead. I've seen a lot of different stuff. And I've seen real expensive ones. I've seen real cheap ones. And they all, after a while, break. All right. And if that's the only way you know how to use the pistol, you got a problem. All right. Number 5, I think people get confused on how to sight properly. The problem is they're trying to focus on 3 common things. You have your 2 dots in the back and your 1 dot in the front and your target out there, and you're trying to see them all. Well, guess what? You can't. Your mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So what tends to happen is you get a fuzzy front sight, which we don't want. We're chasing our rear sight all over the place, and you can see that by the back of the gun. People tend to close an eye when they shoot, which is fine. It helps you with accuracy. But in real life form, trust me, 2:30 in the morning, you're not closing an eye to Popeye at the bad guy when he's in the middle of your living room. So we have to sooner or later get to shooting with both eyes open. I know it's kind of challenging for you, but we need to get understanding the bore axis as much as we need to look at the sight alignment. We need to understand bullet path trajectory. That makes a big difference because most people tend to center the barrel in the center of the target. Catching me here? If I center my barrel in the center of the target, you got me? Where would my sights be? They would be above the barrel. Does this make sense? So immediately, if I did not do any manipulation, pulling, or jerking of the trigger, my bullet would impact above the barrel, which in turn would put you higher than the bullseye. This making sense? Catching me here? Barrel's here, sights here, impact where it needs to go. What you should be looking at is making sure that the dot in the middle of your sights, right, your dot is below your impact zone. And we talk about this a lot about 6 o'clock hold. And I'm working on my ebook that's taking the mystery out of sight picture. And it's, I'm just finalizing the final information, and that'll be ready to release probably in September. We're going to do a couple different books are coming out. The masterclass book is coming out. This trigger book is sight picture and sight alignment, taking the mystery out of 6 o'clock hold and why it's important. But 6 o'clock hold, basically, all right, here we go. Agree. Red dots build a false sense of confidence. Iron sights, point shooting, and fundamental skills. Just my opinion. You're right there. No questions about that, Stanley. No questions about that. You got to understand. That's why I hate guns that come with red dots to begin with. It's bad enough a student can't see the red dot to begin with, especially if you're a one-eye shooter. And red dots are designed to be shot with both eyes open. It takes a little bit of time for people to see them and get through it. So what we're looking for is in any kind of sight systems, we need to fix the front sight focus. This is more important. Let me give you a vision real quick of your sights, all right? Back sight, blurry. Target, blurry. Front post, crystal clear. Allow it to rise and fall in your line of sight. You're going to be a lot more accurate that way than trying to chase the back sight to the front sight to the target sight. This is why most people impact high, low, right, left, because they're not having a consistent trigger press and a consistent sight picture. And when I say they, me too, guys. I'm not an expert when it comes to expert marksmanship, but I know in a defensive shooter, which I'm asking every one of you to be, can I shoot the 8-inch paper plate at any distance you put it? Yes. And are they going to be low and left? No. Are they going to be in the center of the paper plate? Close to it. That's all I'm asking you to be. I'm not asking you to be a bullseye shooter. Matter of fact, if you take the rounds and put them all together, and it's called a clover leaf, right? You put 4 bullets together, it looks a cute little clover leaf, and we used to draw a little marker on it. Look at clover leaf. Guess what? Clover leaves take time. Guess what you don't have in a defensive situation? Time. We got to be able to work that vital triangle as best we can. That's shoulders to groin, guys. Just look down, shoulders to groin. That's a pretty big target. If you stick to a 6-inch or 8-inch paper plate as your target, which is cheap, go to the dollar store, buy a bunch of. Matter of fact, you come here to the range or in the back counter back there. I use those more than anything else for students. Because some students get a little scared of a bullseye, especially new students. I don't. Hey, there we go, Kurt. Your line drill fixed a lot of the shooting levels. Yeah, it does. That line drill is a good drill because it gives you the ability to understand what the hell you're doing wrong. That's the whole concept of any firearms training class. If it's a good class, the instructor is going to point out what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. Now, consuming a firearms training class is somewhat challenging because no matter what I say and what I do, you're only catching the best of you, or only catching probably 40, 45 to 50% because of the internal stress. Take a new student who's very, very nervous. They don't gather as much as someone who's shot a little bit. We do our TAC classes, we do our advanced classes with students that I wouldn't say they're super advanced, right? But they are ready to go. They learn a lot in very quick time, and those classes become 60 and 70% because we're doing repetition stuff. And that's the key to anything. That's the key to all of our courses that we put together. We have a beautiful handgun training system. These are for people who've done the master class and want to continue to work with us. We give you a drill a week. We challenge you each week on a drill that will kick your ass, and no more boredom at the range. No more boredom at the range. Time behind the gun. We give you a PowerPoint presentation. We give you the drill of the week. We give you the course system. You turn your homework back in. We qualify your homework, make sure it's good. If we see issues or problems, we try to solve them for you. You'll get to work with me each week. These are great little programs for you. Because I don't know about you, but it can get pretty boring at the range if you're doing the same shit over and over and over again. You need to challenge yourself. Range time should be challenging. It should not be a waste of bullets. Don't come here and shoot 500 rounds. Ridiculous. Why? All you're doing is wasting money. Because after 100 rounds, you're probably fatigued. And you won't want to admit it, but if you're here to blast, well, that's okay, do it. But every time you blast or get past 100 rounds, those when the bad habits start to happen. The pulling, the jerking, the squeezing. Trust me, we golf 18 holes, I'm done. You give me another free 18, I ain't going to golf better than I did. And then if you give me a third 18, well, it's ridiculous at that point in time. So that's the same thing with the range time. Spend as much time as you can, get a system or a program down that you can do, and do it each time, because we all have to get to that situation where we build that muscle memory to get comfortable. All right, went off tangent there. I apologize about that. Went in all different directions. But the front sight focus is the key thing. There's a good video on our YouTube channel. I'm not much on resets, but if you're not, what I see most people do who are new students who have some training or some what they think is the proper thing to do is they take their finger off the trigger, put the sight system all together, put their finger back on the trigger and cut it. And then they do exactly the same again and again. There's safety involved in that. They're working on their repetition. I'm cool with it for a while, but not for a long period of time. I tell students all the time, look, the gun's pointing in a safe direction. You're allowed to keep your finger on the trigger. I appreciate that. I'm giving you permission. Just keep the gun. Because the more we can work on the trigger placement, the easier it becomes for us. Taking your finger off the trigger and on the trigger and off the trigger and on the trigger it's just going to cause a lot of manipulation that we don't need. What you want to do is try to work on bringing that trigger back to a point where it's going to reset for you. And when it resets for you, then all you have to do is bring it back slowly again to either cut the next shot. But when you cut that shot, keep it back to the rear and let it come forward, and you'll hear an audible click. And that audible click is for reset. And then you're not engaging a full trigger all the way back each time. So I see the trigger reset problem sometimes, and that becomes. Number 7 is cross-eye dominant issues. Most people don't even realize what their dominant eye is. If I ask you today what's your dominant eye, most people who are right-handed would say right eye dominant. But a large percentage of right-handed students are left eye dominant. Not a big deal unless you're closing your left eye and using your right eye to look through this pistol. You're never going to be on the gun itself until you get your weapon over your dominant eye. The problem with this happens is it causes a lot of lefties and righties and uppies and downies and all that stuff because you don't have the weapon and the eye lined up together. A lot of people, when they're working on that, are aiming with the wrong eye, which causes the shot to drift either right or left. If you are left-handed and right eye dominant, well, guess what? Your left hand has to be over your right eye. And if you're right-handed and left eye dominant, your gun has to be over your left eye. Now, what will help you is turning your chin either way. I'm right-handed and right eye dominant, so I make sure the gun's over my right eye. If I am left-handed and I'm right-handed and left eye dominant, I want to make sure the gun's over my right eye. When we marry the weapon and the eye together, we're over the pistol better, and we're getting away from those crazy shots like low and left. It is something we have to work on. It makes it easier. It's funny, when I shoot one-handed and right-handed, I use my right eye. But when I shoot left-handed one-handed, I close my right eye and use my left eye. That's the only way I can do it. I cannot keep both eyes open. My dominant eye will take over immediately. And that's just the way I do it. I just kind of shoot with my left eye, with my left hand, and my right eye with my right hand. And in the middle, it's in the middle. All right, so cross-eye dominant issues. That is one thing that will cause. So train your dominant eye, adjust your head position, try taping on shooting glasses. Now, I did this with my wife. If you want to really learn to shoot with both eyes open, you're going to have to fake it or do something to make your dominant eye take over. I, for many years, have been shooting a bow. And with the bow, you always keep both eyes open. It's just the way it is. And when you're a shotgun shooter, you keep rifles, you close an eye. So what we did was, I naturally was able to shoot with both eyes open because I bow hunted, right? But what I did for my wife was I put a piece of tape over her glasses, which allowed her to keep her eye open, but her dominant eye took over. Or you could squint your eye, or you could take like Scotch tape or something like that has a little bit of fogginess to it, or take a pair of plastic glasses, like safety glasses, and 80 grit sandpaper and rub the shit out of them, scratch them up, and you can keep both eyes open. And the more you do that, it's kind of why I like the tape thing, because sooner or later I can take the tape off and you'll start naturally doing it. Either way, sooner or later we got to figure out which eye we're going to use, and most likely it's going to be both eyes. All right. Number 8 is failure to follow through. This is a big deal, and I catch a lot of people do it in the back. Well, they drop the gun immediately to see where the impact of the bullet is. Now, I know that people think, well, that bullet's gone, but impact, we need to wait a couple seconds before we look, because the follow through is a natural muscle memory thing that we have to keep up, because if we don't, then when it happens, it's going to be more challenging. Yeah, it's going to help us tremendously with confidence. The only reason why you're up looking over the pistol is because you understand that impact is not where it needs to be all the time. If your impact is exactly where it needs to be, why would you be looking? Why are you that concerned about bullseyes? You shouldn't be. You just should be able to put the gun out in front of you and trust your sight system that it's going to go where you want it to go. And that just takes time. That takes confidence. That takes just time behind the range. Obviously, we want to be as accurate as we need to be. But dropping the gun immediately after the shot is going to keep you always guessing what the impact is. What we want to do to fix this is when you keep this sight aligned through the recoil, through the reset, and prepare for the next shot. That's about a second and a half, you think about it. Keeping that gun level is key to becoming accurate. The follow-through is so important, and we see people dropping their arms continuously to see if the impact is where they want it to be. Number 9 that I think happens to a lot of people is time dry firing. We need to spend time working on a good muscle memory to help us when we're at the range. Relying only on dry firing equals wasted ammo and a slow progress. In the masterclass, I learned a valuable lesson that my students taught me. As a good firearms instructor, when you put together something and you start seeing the advances of it, and you realize that, hey, I may have something here. I may have the aha moment that most students need and want, is when I had my students, second week in, we were doing 5 live fires and 5 dry fires at the range. Not too many people pay $25 to $35, come into the range and spend 20 minutes dry firing. Although it saves you a lot of money as far as ammo goes, time in the range is meant for time behind the gun, whether you're engaging the trigger or not. But understanding when you dry fire first, then live fire, you're getting the best of both worlds, because you are working your trigger manipulation to a science for you. And it makes it so much easier for you to understand what you're doing wrong and identifying maybe the bobble, maybe the flinch, maybe the anticipation. Putting together a system of regular dry firing with purpose to work on trigger control, sight picture, maybe draw practice, maybe a lot of different stuff, but we got to work on understanding that dry firing is part of our job description. Every time I tell a student when they buy a gun for the very first time and they come to train for the very first time, I say, what I'm teaching you today, ladies and gentlemen, is a diminishing sport, which means if you don't do it, you lose it. And what I'm giving you today, you're going to catch about 45% of it. And if you lose it, what percent did you lose? So when you sign up for a class, expect to start doing it on a regular basis. You're coming here to learn what you can about the firearm and about how to control it and all the bells and whistles. Keep in mind, you could stand there in front of the bad guy and get the list out of things that I told you in class, but you're not going to have time for that. In muscle memory form, we know what we have to do. We have to build that muscle memory by time behind the gun and ignoring dry fire, which can be done in your home. Make sure your weapon is empty. Make sure your magazines are empty. Make sure your bag, your ammo, and everything in a different side of the room. And just spend time taking the cadence, taking the speed, taking that trigger back, letting it click is going to give you more balance in your range time than just coming here and shooting alone. Because people shoot too much here. People shoot too many rounds. Listen, I get it. You pay $35 to come for an hour. You want to get your $35 worth. I get it. I totally do. But at the end of it, is the $35 going to hurt your accuracy or help your accuracy? That's how many rounds can I shoot in 35 in an hour, or versus I'm going to take these 50 rounds and I'm going to do 4 drills with them, and those 4 drills are going to give you what I need for the next session I go. Number 10, and I see this all the time, is when you're done shooting, what do? Or you better sweep up, I tell you that. I ain't your mama. I don't sweep up my house. I ain't sweeping up here. But sweep up your brass. You put your guns away. Now remember, don't take your gun to your bag. Bring your bag to your gun. We don't want people walking around with a firearm. But when you're done shooting, when you walk in the range, you put your bag on your counter. You take out your weapon you're going to shoot. Listen, don't take out all 5 pistols. Shoot 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, and put your bag in the back there, right? Don't put your bag on the floor because it's open. You're going to get all the brass in there. Put the bag in the back. Now you walk back and forth loading your magazines. That's fine. But do not take your handguns back and forth. I catch people with that all the time. You're walking around the range with a firearm. The fastest way to get kicked out of a range is walking around with a firearm. Because we look through the cameras, we catch you doing it, we go back there, we warn you once, second time you're gone. Because most people are walking back and forth, and you're walking behind the range line, and there's people back there. So you want to be very careful with that. So, number 10 is trying to make some kind of trackable progress. The problem is when you get done shooting at the end of the day, do you evaluate what you did today, and was it better than last week? Now, there's easy ways to evaluate your targets. In the masterclass, we talked to the students about getting markers. Getting markers, making yourself an accuracy thing, get a target or 2 or 3 that you like, shoot 5-round strings, which is string is 5 bullets in a row, and then get out a marker and mark them. And then you can do that 4 different ways. That's what we do most of the masterclass and the handgun training system. We're having you circle each round. Because you think about this, if you go and shoot 300 rounds in your same target, you're not telling one bullet for the next bullet. But when you mark 5 bullets and mark them in red, and the next bullet mark them in blue, and the third bullet mark them in green, and then the fourth bullet mark them in black, well, then you have a concept of what you're doing, and you can realize, okay, 1, 2, and 3, I'm pretty good, but 4 and 5 tend to get a little squirrely. Why is that? Well, that's because you're losing your grip during the shooting. Why is number 1 always low and all the rest of them right on? That's because you get excited and pull the trigger. And then you're starting to identify these little things. Okay, so since I'm pulling the trigger on my first, maybe I need to calm down a little bit. Maybe I need to do the press. Maybe I need to do the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe I need to really concentrate on getting that first round cut good, right? Because isn't the first round the most important round? Why would the first round be low and left and all the rest of them be good? It's just anticipation. And once you start identifying what's all that stuff, then you go, okay, dumbass. Remember, listen, don't pull the trigger. Don't pull the trigger. Don't pull the trigger. And bingo, bango. You start solving the issues. They go, oh, aha, that's a moment. The aha moments are big. Because the aha moments, they sink in real deep. When I'm in the back working with students, I see it 4 different ways. Maybe 6, maybe 8. And then one of those ways, the student's going to hear it. Then they go, is that what you've been saying? Yes, that's what I've been saying. Yes, and you just had an aha moment. It just made sense to you. It was all jumbled up until you got it. Once you got it, you got it. Pretty simple. You can do a lot of different stuff. You can use markers. You can use colored pens. You can use log every session. You can take a picture and use your notes on your phone. I use it all the time. Matter of fact, here's a little hacky hack for you. We don't have a problem. Some ranges do. I don't know why they would. But you videotape yourself shooting. Don't worry about what you're shooting target-wise. Videotape your hands. Videotape the bobbles. Videotape how much movement you're getting from the weapon. If the weapon is moving, the bullet is moving. And the impact is moving. You want to drive the gun as clean as you can. Gentlemen with your chest, women with your back. Back and booty for the ladies. Men, use your pecs to control that weapon. You'll keep it level. And we all know a level pistol shoots level. So there you have it. 10 biggest mistakes I see shooters make on the range. If you can correct even just 1, 2, or 3 of these, your accuracy and confidence will skyrocket. Want to structure drills like we do here? You could always look through the handgun training system. That is a great thing because it's going to give you a drill a week for us to work on. If you're wanting to get a little bit more deeper into it, you can sign up for the masterclass. The masterclass itself starts September the 1st. It goes for 4 weeks. Actually, it goes for 5 weeks. But 4 weeks, and each week we're going to go through fundamentals. We're going to go through sight picture. We're going to go through a lot of different stuff to make you more accurate, to help you solve your inaccuracy and make you the best shooter you can be. If you'd like to look at any of these, they'll be in the link in the descriptions below. There's only 10 spots available for the masterclass. So I would highly recommend if you want to hop into that and get into it as soon as possible. I just did post that today on my YouTube channel. and I have posted it on Facebook as well. So I'm telling you, most likely will sell out pretty quick. That's okay. We always can do another one. Thanks for joining me tonight on this Tuesday Night Live. Drop your questions in the chat. Let's talk about mistakes you're making, or if you are making mistakes. And we'll see you on the next one as soon as next Monday at the same time. So let's go ahead and go up and look at some of the comments we have made. First of all, I'd like to say hello. Thank you, Kurt, for being here. Mark, Chris, Terry, Stan. Looks like we talked to Stan. Line drill, yes. Terry, when you shoot one eye, you're telling your brain to go to sleep. That closed eye dilates and opens, not too much, but it still does. I don't get that. But anyways, thank you, Terry. Appreciate the comment. I read it wrong, probably, most likely. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you, Terry. Kurt Richards said proper ear protection is necessary to help noise reduction and concentration. I agree on that. We use Walker game ears, the electronic ones. Helps out tremendously. I have a lot of students that have never shot before. They're very very flinchy. We have them double roll. We have them foam up and put muffs on. That kind of works for people. Shooting indoors is a lot different than shooting outdoors. According to who's shooting next to you, things like that. What they're shooting obviously causes a little issue there too. That's why we like it here, because we're a training facility. We're not really a gun range, but we do have people in once in a while. Proper ear protection is key to any of this stuff, really. But indoors, you not only hear it, but you feel it, and it becomes so much more. Yeah, it's kind of tough. But we do a lot of foreigners. They'll come on vacation and want to get the American experience. Had a couples, had a dad, wife, and 3 sons from the Netherlands yesterday, and they came and shot handguns, and rifles, and then get the whole experience. It was pretty cool. All right. Well, that is tonight's presentation. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Thank you again for everybody who made comments this evening. Thank you for always being here each week. We are very fortunate. We have a good group of guys that always follow through and are here every week. Rain or shine, we appreciate that very much. Again, if you want to find out about the masterclass stuff, that'll be in the links down below. And if nothing else, I got 3 things for you. God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. God willing, I'll see you next Monday. Same place, same time. Love you guys. Good night.